Hello and welcome to the Crafty Corner. Today is a little bit of an impromptu video, and it was prompted by a great question that I got from Lisa the Lawyer 1 on Instagram. So I've got to shout her out and thank her for the great question that gave me the idea to make this video. She asked about how I was able to get this martini glass in a different color on this card, and she was wondering if I'd used masking, but nope. No masking and no extra tricks. I simply used alcohol ink, glossy cardstock, and some water-based markers along with a distress ink pad. So today I'm going to show you how to make a similar card using the technique with glossy alcohol ink cardstock. All right, let's head over to the Crafty Corner. Today, we're going to be making a card using glossy alcohol ink cardstock, and we're going to be using the stamp set Cocktails Blueprints number CMS 335. To start this card, we're going to be stamping with some black soot archival ink on some glossy cardstock. I've decided to go for a tropical drink today. So first, let's get some ink on our stamp. Okay, now we're just going to line this up and center it and stamp. And we'll give good firm pressure on our stamp and lift. Great. Now before we start coloring, I'm going to quickly heat set this with my Ranger heat tool. If we don't set it, we might get some unexpected surprises and smudges when we go to color our picture. Okay, that looks good. Now let's start coloring. For coloring, I'm going to be using some distress markers today. You could color this picture using other water-based markers, but since I have some distress markers in my stash, this seemed like a great time to use them up. So I'm going to be starting with some mustard seed to color the pineapple wedge. The nice thing about the glossy cardstock is that it absorbs the color that's being put down, and if you try to put another color over it, the paper will resist absorbing any more color. So this makes this a great technique to add an easy background after you've done some fancy coloring. Next, I'm going to be using some peacock feathers. For this, I guess I'm not going to get too fancy, but I am going to attempt to do a gradient in the middle of our tropical drink. Okay, next let's color the cherry using some festive berries. Oh, nope, changed my mind. We're going to be using some barn door. Then we're going to work on the main part of the drink. Now, when I was in college, there was a fantastic drink that was a lemonade mix with cranberry, and it was this beautiful layered cocktail. It started with some of the lemon on the top, so you got this really pretty gradient in the drink. And in the middle, when it mixed with the cranberry, it mixed to a really lovely shade of orange. For the orange, we're going to be using some carved pumpkin, and I'll try to overlap that with yellow and attempt to get a little bit of a transition blend. I'll probably have to go back in with the mustard seed in order to do that, and I'll have to work quickly before the color sets into the paper. Okay, let's go back in with the mustard seed. Good, looks like I was able to get a small blend going. Then we will go down to the bottom of the drink and add in our festive berries. Okay, and we'll try to blend the festive berries into the carved pumpkin. It's looking pretty good. I am going to go back in with the carved pumpkin to try to smooth out that transition. Oh yes, that is going to work. Okay. So the last part that I need to color are the white sections. I'm going to be using some walnut stain for the little sign at the bottom. And then I will be using some iced spruce to color in the rest of the drinking glass. Okay, almost done, and then we will be adding in our background. For the background, I have chosen some contrasting colors, and I'm going to be using a DIY Distress ink pad. This Distress ink pad has Blueprint Sketch, Salty Ocean, Mermaid Lagoon, and some speckled egg in it. Before we add the background, we're going to quickly heat set this picture first. Okay, let's make our background. I also have some paper towels so that I will be able to wipe off the excess ink as I swipe the DIY Distress pad across the picture. So I'm going to start in the top right corner and swipe. And we'll do a second swipe. If it overlaps, that is okay. Okay, and let's wipe off the excess ink. It's interesting. I have a little bit of a white streak there, but I will see if I can't cover that up. But as we can see, the coloring that we did earlier has resisted beautifully. So I'm just going to turn the card and we will swipe again. Okay, and we will wipe off the extra ink. Not bad, but you know what? I think I can change that white swipe into something interesting by using a stencil. I'm going to grab one of my Tim Holtz stencils. What would look good? Oh, the flourish comes pretty close to matching that. So, one thing, when cards don't quite go the way you expect them to go, you can always change it, and you can take something that could have been a big uh-oh mistake and make it into something really interesting. So to try and cover this lineup, we're going to be using a stencil, and I'm going to try to angle this so that I get good coverage over that odd little mark. There we go. And to do that, I'm going to be using some Picket Fence Distress Crayon. So here I'm just going to scribble the Distress Crayon through the stencil, and I'm going to gently smudge it out with my finger. I'm going to try to be pretty careful to avoid the stamped image, but the nice thing about Distress Crayon, if I accidentally go over the image, I can just wipe it off with a slightly damp paper towel. So we're just going to continue to scribble and smush the picket fence into the stencil until we have some decent coverage. Okay, I think I've smudged that around enough, and I think we've got some decent coverage. So let's lift this up and see how it looks. If it doesn't look too good, well, we'll see what happens. Oh, that I'm actually liking quite a bit. So there we go, a quick and easy fix for an unexpected mark. We just used a stencil and camouflaged it, turning this into a more interesting card. Mistakes are just a happy accident waiting to be turned into something creative. Now for the last step on this card, we need to add a sentiment. I'm going to be using some of the Tim Holtz label stickers. And there we have it, a quick and easy card using alcohol, ink, glossy, cardstock, and stamping with archival ink. Thank you so much for joining me today at the Crafty Corner. And until next time, happy crafting!